Ladies and gentlemen, welcome from Saginaw, Michigan. I'm at thestandingcompany.com and I'm happy to introduce you to David Maczik, the founder. And we're going to walk down the hallway. Welcome, David.
How you doing? Hi.
Doing great.
Good.
Hey, could you show us these amazing pictures you have of people standing in this chair?
Absolutely, yeah. As we go down the hall, you see some people with different occupations. And it's like here is an example of a fellow who's a professional photographer shooting a model. So if you're in a traditional wheelchair and you're not standing up and you're shooting a 6-foot tall model, the perspective is all wrong. So here's an example. And this fellow also did a photo shoot with Tyra Banks. We'll see that maybe in another photo coming down the hall here, okay? And for people who like to work with cars, here's a fellow waxing. He's got a classic car and he's waxing his car. So for people who are into automotive, it's easier, obviously, to get into an engine compartment if you can stand up. It's easier to wax the car. Here in Michigan in the winter, it's easier to scrape the snow off the windshield if you got a day like we happen to have here today. So it's just kind of one of the functions that.
Isn't that great, David? That's awesome.
Yep. Here, to come down this way, this is a fellow who works in an office, and obviously in offices there are file cabinets and things you have to reach for. And if you're making a presentation, it's easier to do if you're standing up. Here's a picture here of a fellow from the state of Maine. He got to stand up for his son's commissioning into the Air Force. So for special events like weddings or going to church, obviously you could stand up. Here's a fellow who works in a shop situation, working on a drill press right here. And again, shops are not set up for traditional wheelchairs. So standing makes it much easier for a person to work in a shop or to start up your own business or without going through expensive accommodations. Oh, and here's just a simple task like changing a light bulb. Here's a fellow you can stand up, and you don't need to have to ask the neighbor to get somebody else to do it, but you can do it on your own. Here's a fellow who came from Canada. He forgot his hockey stick, but he's still here, though. Okay, just standing up, not doing anything in particular. And here's a wedding right here of a fellow who got to stand up for his wedding. We've had several people wanted to hurry up and get the standing chair before their wedding. For the ladies, they like to have the chair pictures taken standing up because the gown's not all clumped up. And the pictures just turn out better if you're standing up, obviously. And so it's an example of one. And for somebody who works in a library, you could stand up and you can get things up off of your shelf. It's just one of the other occupations where it's important to stand. Here's a fellow who's an aircraft mechanic to stand up, but also we've got automotive mechanics that you need to stand up for those functions. And to the other side here, here's a fellow who works, sorry for cutting in front of you there, but a fellow who works in a shop situation. And back down this way, we've got a fellow who's a taxidermist. So we got a deer head up on the wall. And for something as simple as just playing catch, it's easier to throw the ball, a baseball or a football. If you're standing up, you can get a greater arm swing. And here's a gal who's really into horses, and she's not the horse groomer. We do have a horse groomer, but you can make contact with your favorite animal this way. And there's a lady who works in an office also. Well, then back down this way.
Thanks for taking the time for this. This is amazing.
Okay, a couple more here if you want. There's a fellow in a welding station right here. Here's a fellow who's a woodworker. This fellow here was able to get this job because he could stand up. And the state of Michigan, I believe, funded the chair for him so he could go back to work. Here's a fellow who works at Steelcase. Half the day he spends sewing on fabric for furniture. And these people here came from Australia to pick up a chair. And this here is like one of the, probably the tallest person we've got in the chair. He's 6'11" and a half. And this fellow works in a laboratory, and obviously laboratory counters are higher. And if you're in a traditional wheelchair, you just couldn't do that type of work. Here's somebody just enjoying themselves casting. Here's another farmer checking oil in here. And for something over at Green Bay one time, just tailgating. So everybody's having a good time at the Green Bay Packers game, and so now you got a chance to stand up and do high fives when the Packers score another touchdown and beat the Lions again. So
Well, thank you very much, David.
Sure,
and,
you're welcome. Yep.
Please go to thestandingcompany.com for more information, right?
Thank you. Yep, that's exactly right. Yep.